Man, what a week for AI. We had a top director at OpenAI walking out over a military deal, a major AI lab literally suing the US government. And get this, a giant consulting firm's internal chatbot getting hacked by an AI agent in just 2 hours. It's a lot. So let's get right into this week's AI recap.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we're going to look at the battle lines being drawn across the industry. Then, we'll dive into the brand new AI toolkit that just dropped this week. And to finish up, we'll see how AI is crashing into the real world, for better and definitely for worse.
So let's start with part 1, battle lines are drawn. Because, the biggest stories this week weren't really about new features or lines of code. Nope, they were about high-stakes resignations, major courtroom showdowns, and some really fundamental principles being tested.
And first up, we've got a huge departure over at OpenAI. Caitlin Kolinovsky, who was the director of robotics, and she was brought in just last November to rebuild their entire robotics division, has resigned. And the reason why is a really big deal: the company's new contract with the Pentagon.
And this quote, wow, it really says it all. She's the first senior leader at OpenAI to publicly leave over this Pentagon deal. And she's being super clear about her concerns with lethal autonomy. The idea of AI systems making life or death calls without a human in the loop. This wasn't just some quiet exit. It's a public stand that's apparently already causing a consumer backlash, with a noticeable spike in people canceling their ChatGPT subscriptions. All right, let's shift gears to our next story, where AI is kind of on the other side of the security fence. So Anthropic's AI model, Claude, was recently unleashed on the Firefox browser just to see what kind of trouble could it find. And the results were, frankly, staggering. In just 2 weeks, Claude found 22 security flaws, and 14 of them were the bad kind, high severity. But get this, it found the very first flaw in just 20 minutes. We're talking about a piece of software that's been around for decades, picked apart by thousands of human experts. It just goes to show you how scarily good these models are getting at analyzing code. But here's a really important distinction we have to make. While Claude is an absolute rock star at finding vulnerabilities, it's not so great yet at actually exploiting them. You can see the difference right here. Amazing at code analysis, but it had very limited success when it tried to launch actual attacks. Anthropic is warning, though, that this gap between finding and exploiting is closing, and it's closing fast. That makes the race to secure our software more urgent than ever. And speaking of Anthropic, they are now tangled up in a pretty serious legal fight with the US government. The company is actually suing to fight back against a directive that basically blacklists their AI, Claude, from being used by any federal agency. So here's the core of their argument. Anthropic is claiming this isn't really about security. They're saying it's retaliation for their public stance on AI safety and warfare. And they've even got backup from employees at rival companies like OpenAI and Google. This could set a huge precedent for how the government can, or maybe more importantly, can't, regulate AI companies based on their political positions.
Okay, that brings us to our second big section for the week, the new AI toolkit. We're going to shift here from all the conflict to creation and look at the powerful new products and market insights that popped up this week. And the partnerships just keep on coming. Microsoft just pulled the curtain back on Copilot Cowork, which is a new feature for their whole 365 suite. And guess what's under the hood? Yep, it's Anthropic's Claude technology. So here's the basic idea. You just describe what you want to achieve, and Cowork actually maps out all the steps and then just goes to work. It starts creating presentations, documents, you name it, across all your apps. For Microsoft, the big advantage here is that deep integration into your entire work life, your emails, your files, your calendar. It gives the AI incredible context. Okay, let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. The venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, you probably know them as A16Z, just released their big Consumer AI Top 100 report. And it gives us a fantastic snapshot of where the market is right now. So, no surprise, ChatGPT is still the absolute king, with a mind-boggling 900 million weekly users. But the race is definitely tightening up. Just look at the growth from its rivals. Both Claude and Gemini saw their paid subscriber numbers jump by over 200% last year. So yeah, the battle to be the default AI for consumers is far, far from over. Now, from market share to personal hardware, we've got this really fascinating new concept from Perplexity. They introduced something they're calling personal computer, which is a system that basically turns a dedicated Mac Mini into your own personal 24/7 AI agent that's running locally and has constant access to all your files and apps.
And this move really shows you Perplexity's whole strategy. They're trying to position this as the safer, more controlled option compared to those viral, cloud-based agents like OpenAI. Because it runs locally and has features like activity tracking and even a kill switch, it's really all about giving you, the user, more control and, peace of mind. And of course, you knew Elon Musk had to make a big announcement. He revealed that Macrohard, which is a joint project between xAI and Tesla, is being revived. And the goal is, well, it's incredibly ambitious: to create an AI system that can emulate the function of an entire company. The whole plan is to mash up xAI's chatbot, Grok, with Tesla's real-world self-driving tech and their custom chips.
And rounding out our toolkit section, Anthropic has launched the Anthropic Institute. This is basically a new think tank, a research group that's dedicated to studying the societal disruption that AI is going to cause. It's a really clear bet from them that preparing for the societal fallout is just as critical as building the tech itself. All right, on to our final section, AI meets the real world. After all the boardroom drama and new product launches, how is this technology actually showing up and impacting our daily lives?
Well, for starters, Google just gave Maps a massive upgrade powered by its Gemini AI. You can now just ask it conversational questions to plan your trip, and it'll even render your entire route in 3D. This is really Google's core strategy in action: bake their most powerful AI into the products that billions of us already use every single day. Microsoft is also getting a lot more personal, debuting its new Copilot Health. This is a new AI experience that connects to your health records and your data from wearables to give you personalized insights. And the long-term vision here is something they're calling medical superintelligence, basically an AI with the knowledge of a doctor that's accessible to everyone. But the real world also comes with some very real risks. And that brings us to our final and maybe most cautionary story of the week. It took an AI agent built by a security startup less than 2 hours to hack into the internal chatbot used by the massive global consulting firm McKinsey and Company. And the scale of this breach was just enormous. The agent got access to 46.5 million confidential chat messages, over 700,000 client files, and thousands of user accounts, and all of it was just stored in plain text. This is a huge, huge warning shot. As companies are racing to roll out these internal AIs, the power of these tools can turn even a basic security mistake into a totally catastrophic data breach. So, from the courtroom to our daily commute, AI is obviously here. It's creating incredible new tools, but also brand new vulnerabilities and some tough ethical dilemmas. It really leaves us with this one final thought. The question is no longer if AI is going to change our world. The real question is, how on earth are we going to manage all that change?